My great-uncle, Harry Telford, was a buckaroo on Pete French's Pea Ranch in eastern Oregon from 1904 to 1910. He was also a storyteller. His stories were recorded in several oral histories, two by students at the University of Oregon folklore program, one by one of his nephews, and the fourth one by someone from the Klamath Falls Museum. In the summer of 2016, I had the opportunity to be an artist in residence at a place called Playa in Summer Lake, Oregon, about halfway between Lakeview and Bend. I went there hoping to be able to finish one of Uncle Harry's stories that I had started turning into a song. And I was able to do that and wrote 14 other songs and a poem. A couple of the songs I've since changed back to poems because they work better as poems than songs. So these are stories told by my Uncle Harry that I've turned into poems and songs. I have used some poetic license, but as much as possible, I've used his words. So the Pea Ranch was started by Pete French, who's in the picture there. He came to Oregon from Central California with 1,200 head of short-head horn cattle. And there are various stories about how the ranch got the name Pea Ranch. The most common one is that when Pete French got to the Blitzen Valley and decided that's where he was going to start his ranch, he met a old-timer who had the brand, the Pea Ranch brand. Someone named Peters, if I remember right. But that may or may not be correct. Anyway. So when Uncle Harry got to the Pea Ranch, Pete had already been dead for a few years. And this song is the death of Pete French as Uncle Harry told it. Pete French came from California in '72 with 1,200 head of cattle and started the Pea Ranch, Harney County's biggest spread, and had lived through an Indian battle. When I came to the Pea Ranch, Pete had been dead for just about 7 years. One day we was riding in the big sagebrush field. Tebow said he died right here. Now the big sagebrush field could winter just about 5,000 head. And Pete in some hands was moving cows to the pasture when he was shot dead. The homesteaders were battling with the ranchers about water, ice, and about land. The big operators had fenced off land that rightly belonged to Uncle Sam. Now Ed Oliver had taken out a homestead in the middle of the big sagebrush field, and he won a core battle to move cattle across Pete's land, so Pete must yield. There is
between them. And on the day after Christmas, 97, he saw Oliver crossing his field, and Ed sent Pete straight to heaven. Now Pete was unarmed, he never carried a gun, nor did any of the men on his ranch. Oliver claimed that Pete had whipped him near to death with a hazel tree branch. He was shot right off of his horse. His men said he was shot in the back, but Oliver swore that he'd feared for his life, and the jury acquitted that sad sack. Tebow, Dave Crow, Manny Clark, Pete's brother Bert were the men who were with him that day. And 7 years later, I could still see the hurt in Tebow's eyes that Pete had been taken away. And 7 years later, I could still see the hurt in Tebow's eyes that Pete had been taken away. Thank you. Tebow had come to the P Ranch a year or two after Pete French did, and stayed there the rest of his life. After Pete died and the French was sold a few times, Tebow always went along with the ranch. His real name is Prim, but he's always called Tebow. I'm not sure why. Tebow is also a storyteller, but unlike Uncle Harry's stories, which I believe are true, or at least mostly true, Tebow's stories were tall tales. This is called Tebow's Trout. I rode with old Tebow on the P Ranch. He'd come into the country with Pete French, and if anyone had a fish story to tell, why Tebow wouldn't give him an inch. The Blitzen River runs right through the P Ranch. In the old days it had lots of trout. Tebow had heard there was a big one in the river and decided he would get it out. He tied a hay hook to his riata and baited it with a beefsteak. The trout bit, Tebow pulled the hook set, but then he feared he had made a mistake. The trout was too big to turn around. There was no way that Tebow could land him, so he led him 5 miles down the stream to Boca Lake where the river widens. Tebow landed that trout, but it shook out the hook and tore the riata to shreds as it flopped on the bank and knocked Tebow out, and his tail knocked Tebow's mule dead. When Tebow came to, he decided that since the trout had put up such a fight, it wouldn't be proper to fry it, so instead he made it his pet. He trained that day it had a horrible accident, which really put old Tebow out. One Sunday, Pete and some ranch hands were taking the fish for a stroll. The trout fell into the river and drowned. What a terrible toll. Now you may think this story unlikely, but Tebow would swear it was true. And if Pete French were here, Tebow would say he'd surely prove it to you. And if Pete French were here, Tebow would say he'd surely prove it to you. So Tebow ended all of his stories. If Pete French were here, he'd prove it to you. Pete French, of course, was never around. So as a good folk singer, I borrowed tunes or stole tunes, whichever you want to take it, for a couple of the songs that I wrote. And this is one. The tune is Home on the Range. And it has a place for you to join in and sing the chorus. And then when I get to the very end, you might think it's time to sing the chorus again, but I've actually changed the words. So you can sing the first two lines of the chorus a second time if you want. But, so I'll cue you when it's time for you to sing. We didn't dress fancy like you think of cowboys. We just wore ordinary work clothes. And we didn't carry guns or any other guns, not like in the picture shows. But one day we did all take us a notion to each send and get us a gun. We'd just carry them along and we'd get us some game, some deer or antelope for fun. It would give us a change from eating beef and more beef all the time. So we sent and got us these fine revolvers, Colt, Smith & Wessons. They cost a pretty dime. Well, the very first day that we had those guns, 3 cowboys had to walk home. They shot off their guns and their horses bucked them off way out there on the range. Okay, it's just about to come on for you to see. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Well, they had to walk home about 8 or 10 miles in a pair of mighty old boots. So we wore the guns a week, then threw them on our beds, and we no longer cared a hoot. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play,
next one's Buckaroo seasons. The season that is showing is the longest one, which was 6 months of roundup. And it brand on the open range. And one buckaroo would rope the head, and the other, who you can't see in the picture, would rope the feet, and then they'd throw the calf. Here's the fire getting the branding iron signed. Then the people on the ground would then do the branding and other things needed if it was a bull calf. So unlike most of the poems and songs, this one is more mine than Uncle Harry's. It's made up of a lot of different things that he talked about. It's called Buckaroo Seasons.
Seasons of the year are winter, spring, summer, and fall. But the buckaroo seasons are not quite the same. Let me tell you about them all. On the P Ranch, the winter was spent chopping ice in swamps for the cattle to drink, breaking horses in the round barn, which was warmer but harder, I think. Next came the spring drive to the railroad on Ontario, Oregon, with the yearling steers and some big old cows, to summer in lovely Montana. Then was a roundup for 6 long months, riding after cattle each day, roping and branding and making steers of the bull calves come one day. Last was the fall drive, this time to Nevada, to Winnemucca and the railroad bed. 200 miles on the trail with never less than 2,000 head. Now I spent 7 years on the P Ranch, and it was a wonderful life. I'd have spent even more if it wasn't for the damn cold, wet spring drive. I'd have spent the damn cold, wet spring drive.
So when he was first a buckaroo, all they had for shelter on the spring drive was a piece of tarpaulin that they'd wrap themselves up in, but it didn't work very well, and it would rain and it would snow and all kinds of not so nice things. So this next one's called Union Hounds, and this is another one I borrowed the tune. The tune is The Cat Came Back. As a chorus that I want you to sing along with, it's the hounds came over every day. The hounds came over, they followed me around. The hounds came over, they just wouldn't stay away. Until the very end, and then the last chorus is a little different, but I'll let you know how it goes.
One winter I chopped ice out on the Diamond Ranch, in the swamps where the cattle wintered, so that the critters could drink. Now the ranch adjoining the Diamond belonged to the Smith brothers, and they had 2 nice greyhounds, but they could be a bother. Well, the hounds came over every day. The hounds came over, they followed me around. The hounds came over, they just wouldn't stay away. Try that. The hounds came over every day. The hounds came over, they followed me around. Well, the hounds came over, they just wouldn't stay away. Well, the swamp was plumb full of coyotes. Every day while breaking ice, I'd see about 14. The hounds would come on over and follow me all around. Could catch the coyotes, faster dogs were never found. The hounds came over every day. The hounds came over, they followed me around. The hounds came over, they just wouldn't stay away. The hounds would chase but wouldn't kill the coyotes. They'd just run one down and bring it to his knees. Then I'd ride up and with my little Stevens pistol I'd deflee that coyote, slick as a whistle. Well, the hounds came over every day. The hounds came over, they followed me around. The hounds came over, they just wouldn't stay away. Then I'd get down off my horse and skin that coyote out. This skin I'll sell for $7. Loudly I would shout, and pretty soon another coyote would come along. Those hounds would be right after him, faster than I could sing this song. Well, the hounds came over every day. The hounds came over, they followed me around. The hounds came over, they just wouldn't stay away. And then catch him, I'd deflee him, skin him out beyond my way. But that would be the end of it, 2 was the limit for that day. So every day those hounds would catch 2 coyotes in the swamp. But only 2, for after that they was done with work, for they was union hounds. Every day they was union hounds, they followed me around. They was union hounds, they just wouldn't work all day.
Thank you.
So, Uncle Harry went to be a cowboy, but became a buckaroo. So what's the difference between a cowboy and a buckaroo? Not a huge amount in terms of what they do. They both ride after cattle, work cattle from horseback. But there are some technical differences. And one is that a buckaroo is more likely to use a rayada or rawhide rope than what a buckaroo would call a grass rope. I'm not sure if a cowboy would call it a grass rope or not, but a rope made of plant fibers, or nowadays made out of nylon. And with a rayada, you can't tie the rope hard and fast to the saddle horn, because if you did that, it would break when the cow pulled. With the grass rope, we do that, but with rayada, you just wrap it around the saddle horn several times. It's called taking your turns, and taking your rappies, and taking your dallies. And this is from Uncle Harry's first year, first year, I think. Yeah. Anyway, while he was still chopping ice in the winter. Later he graduated, I guess, to become breaking horses during the winter, which paid $5 a month more, $35 instead of $30 a month. So that's $7 that he got for the coyote skins. It's a lot of money. Rawhide Harry. Well, during the winters when I was chopping ice, I got the name Rawhide Harry, because I made a couple nice rawhide ropes and did some other rawhide braiding. Now, the secret to any good rawhide work is making the strings just right, so that it ties nicely, And then as you braid, you can pull that braid real tight. Now that first winter on the Diamond Ranch, I braided a 70-foot rayada. I killed a crippled steer that was down in the swamp and got his hide to make the rope out of. Split the hide right down the middle of the back, because where it crosses the backbone is weak. Then you trim out the thinnest part of the flanks, and you cut out any brands there might be. Next you cut the string out, going round and round about 3/4 of an inch in width. When you come to a thin spot in the hide, you cut a little wider so that it'll finish right. You do this with each hide. Then you soak the skins with its hair still on, of course. Next you stretch the strings out, pull as tight as you can between a couple of posts, and you hang a weight from them, about 10 or 15 pounds, whatever you can find to give a pull. And this takes practically all the stretch out of them strings. And then you scrape off the hair. Now most of this is done with just a pocket knife, but the string has to have a certain dryness. If the string is too dry, or if it's too wet, there's no way you can work it. Then you take a wagon spoke or something like that, and in the end you make a notch. You sharpen your knife good, drive it into the wood at a small angle toward the back of the notch, and your knife is on a slant, leaning a bit toward the stick, and you pull the string right through it. And this cuts it down all to the same width. To fix each side, you run it through twice. After you've sized it for width, you have to size each of the strings for thickness. I used to make a rig out of a mowing machine blade because they're really good steel. You put that blade in there just about straight down, and then you pull the string on through it with the flesh side up, and that'll size it down to the same even thickness. Then you go back to your notch again. This time set your knife in at an angle, pull your string through the notch a couple of times, taking the corner off of each side. Now I always braided 5-strand ropes. You might think a 6-strand one would be better, but it's almost impossible to get the tension just right, and the strands would always be breaking. You'd have to run in another strand alongside the broken one to repair it. This happens sometimes on a 4-strand braid, but they don't break near as bad as a 6-strand. A 4-strand braid makes a round rope and is strong. They're the best ropes for working cattle. And all the old-timers only used rawhide ropes, at least in that part of the country. Now in braiding the rope, you have to pull each stitch with a certain strength. If you pull too hard on one, not hard enough on another, your braid will start crawling around. Every stitch you make, you take that string round your hip and lean back with all your weight. And you have to keep the string pushed up tight right where your braid is forming. And it's hard work and pretty tough on your hands. Your thumb and your nails will turn black. But you'll have a nice rope, and it's worth quite a bit. Back then, about 2 weeks' salary. So this is the story of why I was called Rawhide Harry. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did not, tough luck. You already heard it. So the next one, roping antelope, is an example of what you might try to do with the rope. Once you made your 70-foot long rayada. There's another difference between a cowboy and a buckaroo. Cowboy would more likely use a maximum 50-foot rope, and buckaroos like the really long ropes. In the early days there was not a lot of rain, though up one canyon sometimes near you'd see. But in most places up on Steen's Mountain, there's a lot more now than there used to be. But we never bothered the deer very much, us boys were much for hunting. But Jelly would make me rope 2 or 3 a year, just to keep my hand in. A good saddle horse can run over deer pretty quick in open country where there's room to run. But we turned them loose, never killed one of them, but marked them with a peak just but the Buckaroos was so thick that the antelope would just keep running into one and then change direction until finally they had made a circle and stopped at a little lake where they drank their fill of the lake water. But I feared one of them had made a mistake. As they came out from the lake, they passed by me, and it looked like one of them might be held. It was lagging a long way behind the others and had drunk a lot of water, I could tell. I was riding a real fine horse that day too. He was half a thoroughbred and fast. I thought, well boy, I'd catch that antelope pretty easy. So I got my rope down and took off. Now I gained right up on that antelope till I was almost in good roping distance when he kinda looked back and just peeled right away, like I was riding backwards at that instant. Yes, he kinda looked back and just peeled right away, like I was riding backwards. So remember that coat that Tom Allen was wearing. This is the Wayward Mare, or Tom Allen's coat. Out on the range, there was a spring by a butte where the cattle would come to water. So we'd go there and spend maybe a week camped out by the Buckaroo wagon. And two of the boys would stay up all night to guard the horses and keep them from straying. One would watch till about midnight, and the other would see the day in. We'd bring them to camp in the early morning and make us a rope corral with 3 or 4 riatas all tied together, which the boys stood round and held. Then the best roper, generally the boss, with that day's horses rope out. You see, each of us had between 8 and 10 horses. We'd ride 1 a day about. Tom Allen was the cow boss then. He had this big cowhide coat with a real heavy fur on it, winter hide. At night it would get pretty cold, so Tom would loan the boys on guard his coat, and the one who was trying to sleep would wrap himself up in it while the other would ride and an eye on the horse's keep. We seldom had a mare in the cavy on account of she'd likely run off, and 5 or 6 geldings would follow her, then all of them would be lost. But one particular night I was riding this mare that belonged to the 7T outfit. You see, a couple of their boys was riding with us, so any of their strays they could get. The mare on the whole was real gentle, but she was mean to pull away. If we tied her up solid, why, she'd pull back, break free, and be gone all day. I wrapped myself up in old Tom's coat after riding guard till midnight, and wrapped the mare's lead around my leg, not tight, so she'd stand all right. Dry wash began about 20 feet from where I lay down to sleep, at a very steep slope, about 100%. That wash was 200 feet deep. Well, something spooked the mare in the night, and she took off with me cinched tight and dragged me down across rocks and brush to the bottom of that wash. At the bottom, she stopped, so I just curled up and went back to sleep again. And in the morning, when it became light, I looked back at the way we'd been. The rocks was all covered with black hairs from the coat, all the way down the hill. And if I hadn't been wearing old Tom's coat, I'd have been skinned up pretty well. That is, I think, a masterpiece of understatement. Thank you. Tom Allen's coat. There are a couple of terms that you might not have recognized there. A Buckaroo wagon is what a cowboy would call a chuck wagon, so the home on the road. And the cavy, or caviata, you saw in the slide, is the herd of saddle horses. A cowboy would call it a remuda. There's a song about the other cow boss, Fred Brown,
And this must have been fairly late in Uncle Harry's time at the P Ranch, because it talks about the company owning the ranch. And until fairly late, it was owned by individual people, not by a company. But then one of the big meat companies bought it.
Fred Brown found out that there was 160 acres, some of the best land in the valley, right there on the P Ranch in their alfalfa field, that the company did not own legally. So he filed a homestead on it, quit his job as a buckaroo, and built a house there more like a shack. He wanted to fence it in, so he cut some juniper posts, but a team and a wagon he did lack. Fred went down to the ranch, he was still in good terms with them, and borrowed a wagon and a team. Started stringing fence posts all along his property line, and had got himself up a real good head of steam. When something spooked the horses and the team began to run, and threw old Fred right off the wagon, bruised him up a little, tore the wagon all to shreds, left the neck yoke from a gate post a dangling. Fred pulled himself together, then he went back to the ranch to tell them what had happened, of course. Fred was like one of the family, so he stayed there overnight in the bunkhouse feeling full of remorse. Now I was breaking horses in the round barn that winter, so I was sleeping in the bunkhouse nights. Fred was in a nervous condition, though he finally went to bed, and he lay there as we turned down the lights. Fred was laying on his bunk, a-chattering and mumbling to himself, when finally he blurted out, "You damn old fool, why didn't you put on the brake?" And he answered himself with a mighty shout, "I did put on the brake, but it didn't do no good. It didn't do any good at all." And that was quite a joke to those of us who heard it there, laughing at what old Fred did bawl. I did put on the brake, but it didn't do no good. Didn't do any good at all. I did put on the brake, but it didn't do no good. It didn't do any good at all.
Thank you. So this is a town in Jersey, Oregon, which at the time when Uncle Harry was there was about the same size as Burns. Burns wasn't very big, but Jersey was about the same size. Now Burns is the biggest town in Hardin County and the county seat, and Jersey is so small that when I looked it up in the atlas, it didn't even list it. Anyway, on the spring drive, the spring drive was to Ontario, Oregon, where just as far as the railroad went at the time. And they would start at the P Ranch and stay close to water sources, obviously, for the cattle. And once they got to Jersey, they were on the Mount Hood River, and then follow the Mount Hood River all the way down to Ontario.
One spring drive we was camped along the Malheur Riverside. Melilux outfit was nearby, Juicy was just a short ride. So in the evening all the boys that was off duty would go into the town to celebrate and have a drink or two. The townsfolk there told us about this no-good hanger on Mars who'd raped a half-good girl out under the stars. The people were upset about it, but nothing had been done. And while we were there in the saloon, Mars came walking in. He bellied right up to the bar and thought he could gauge a drink. He started bragging about the rape, we didn't know what to think. Then Charlie Ward from the Melilux crew, a big tall fella he stood. Why, you and Principal Cecil B, that's not how we treat womanhood. Grab him, boys, we'll teach him a lesson that he will understand. So we pulled him out into the street, laid him there in the sand. And Charlie took his knife and performed the very same operation that we did on a bull calf when we were at the ranch station. And boy, he hollered like hell, but it didn't do him no good. We held him down till the job was done and laughed at him when he stood. Well, the citizens, they approved, but they was worried too. They thought maybe he'd bleed to death, so the doc they took him to. Oh, Doc looks him over and says, a damn good job you've done. I couldn't have done no better myself. He got what was coming to him. So this is the end of my story. This is the end of my song. If you're ever with the Buckaroos, you shouldn't do nothing wrong. So this is the end of my story. This is the end of my song. If you're ever with the Buckaroos, you shouldn't do nothing wrong.
Besides beef, as I talked about, their staple food, the other staples were beans and sourdough biscuits.
John Robinson of the Double O Ranch was the trail boss on that trip. Our cook got drunk, so John fired him, leaving us in a hell of a fix. John hired that guy there in Jersey who said that he was a cook, but as we soon found out that was a lie, most like he was a crook. First day out from Jersey, the first meal this guy cooked. He baked some sourdough in the Dutch oven, but how those biscuits looked. They didn't have any raise to them, no raise at all. And they were covered with little brown spots, which made the cowpokes bawl. What he did or didn't do to them, I never have figured out. But I've never seen any biscuits like that before or since, no doubt. Them biscuits were harder than hardtack, and I've had my share of that rot. John took one look and dumped them out, and he fired the cook on the spot. Now the biscuits were lying in the dust, scattered there alongside Ken, and we got to play with them and fooling around there in the cold and damp. You pick one up and sail it across the Malheur River so wide. You just give it a toss like skipping a stone, and across the stream it would glide. Some of the boys got a bright idea, and into those biscuits they drilled 2 boys were thrilled. They tied them on to their bridles, for conchos, don't you see? They stayed there for weeks in all kinds of weather. How solid they must be, how solid they must be, how solid they must be. Conchos are ornaments, usually not made out of sourdough, usually made out of silver, put on the bridles for decoration.